Hello, hello. Happy Monday, everybody. Our IG live schedule is crazy for the next few weeks, maybe like a month or two. So we did one Friday, we're doing one again today. Trying to fit everybody in who I'm really excited to talk to and share with you guys. Oh, you're already here. Awesome. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Here we are. Works. Let's give it a couple seconds.
Well, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What a treat to be with everyone today and talk about all things breast cancer, cancer recovery, breast cancer life. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. It's so nice to see your face. We've had a couple calls and it's like, I know there's still a screen between us, but it's nice to like actually see your face and
Same,
talk to you.
same. I'm really
Um,
excited to
yeah,
talk about Brilliantly Warm and your product and to tell you what's going on in the Cancer Be Glammed world. And hopefully people will join us. And as I like to say, no bad questions.
yes, always. Well, I would love to start with you just sharing a little bit about the origin of Cancer Be Glammed. Like what's the idea behind it?
Well, I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 47, and I had a young family and was working. And because of my diagnosis, I instantly, as everyone is, thrown into that tailspin about how to put your life together, what's going to happen, what should I do, making all those decisions. But 2 weeks later, I found myself bald, breastless. I started chemo, went through all the things that you do with chemo. And I had such a great healthcare team, but no one to even say, here's how you can take care of yourself, make yourself look and feel as good as you can during your recovery, and even through survivorship, because many women, as you know, have all different types of mastectomies, now choose to go flat. I'm flat. And so I just felt so bereft and lost that I decided that women needed to have lifestyle support. And that's when I co-founded Cancer Be Glammed. I know that's tongue in cheek. People say, we know cancer isn't glamorous, but that the whole goal to help women have, as we like to say, a well-informed, better prepared, life made easier recovery.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so sorry that was your experience, and I think that it's more common than we care to admit that people feel like when they're not literally with their doctor that they don't know how to get the care they need or ask for the help they want. And it's such a wonderful thing to do, something for the whole community after having an experience that wasn't so great yourself. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Sure. You don't even know the right questions to ask. And that's why I think companies like yours, there are fantastic survivor entrepreneurs, survivor companies that really understand what everybody's going through and have made products and information available to people so they don't find themselves at such a loss or dealing with something that they know nothing about.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to share with our viewers now and later that Brilliantly Warm is available on the Cancer Be Glammed website.
I
And I'm in some
know.
excellent company there. And I would love for you to kind of share about how you curate that selection of products and the mission behind them. You and I have had some really amazing talks, but I think it would be great to share because
Happy to.
yeah, there's so many things out there now. And I think that you have kind of a special way of thinking about things.
Well, thank you. Um, you know, I'm a survivor who founded a company based on my experiences. And now that was 14 years ago, I'm pleased to say, thrilled to say. And at that time, there was very little for women in the recovery phase. And, I started reaching out to other survivors. I found another company that actually made a fantastic post-surgery shirt that had drain management in it. And it was like, I needed this. So that's why we started curating collections and working with other survivors. And as it turned out, which is no surprise, survivors get it. A part of our platform is to promote and support other survivor founded companies and to just let people know that many of them are women owned businesses, that we need to all lift each other up together and make sure everyone who needs us knows that we're here and we can, and what we offer to make your life easier.
I couldn't agree more. And congratulations on 14 years. That is no
Oh,
small
thank
achievement.
you. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting that it's 14 years. My mom passed away in 2005, so a little bit longer than that. And I can't remember being able to find anything. And I know
Yes.
you and I talked about this. Like, I was a caregiver, so my experience
Yes,
was caregiver
exactly.
to pre-vivor, so it's a
Yes.
little bit different. But when she, you know, she had a chemo that made the palms of her hands and the bottom of her feet, like the skin was peeling off. She had all of these things, and it was
Yes.
so hard to find anything or to find someone
Yes.
to ask, other than when we were in the cancer treatment center and the
Yes.
nurse was there, or there was somebody else, and it was like, hey, do you have this problem? Where did you find it? How did you find it? And I think the world in the time since you started has changed like
Definitely.
1,000 times over. And so,
Thankfully.
yeah,
You know,
totally.
gratefully, thankfully, because it's exactly what you said. But I think you touched upon something really important. And, you know, people always laugh at me because I'm like, spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. But what we have found with a lot of the women that we work with, you know, when their nurses see that they found this fantastic post-surgery shirt with drains, or lovely clothing that you can wear during chemotherapy, or things for physical therapy that have zippers so you don't have to fully undress. They're like, where did you get that? And we would love to share that. And same with Brilliantly Warm, I'm sure. So I think we put a lot of expectation on the nurses, our oncology nurses and our oncology social workers. So I think that it's important that we also collaborate with the oncology community so that they let them know all these resources, these valuable resources and products are available for women. And that's, like you said, it's a lot to ask them to find it, but we have to ask everybody to go tell them about Brilliantly Warm, tell them about Cancer Be Glam so that it gets to the people who need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other amazing thing is that you're not only dealing with that moment when someone's in treatment, but also in, like, if you're 3, 5, 10 years out, you might still be looking for something that's really difficult to find. Sorry, my light is so weird. I keep starting
That's
to
quite
glow.
all right.
Um,
Technology. I'm like, okay.
but you know, there's
Yes.
we do rely too heavily on the people in the medical community
Yes.
to have all of the answers for us. And I think it's
Exactly.
unfair. And so sites like
Yes.
yours help people find things that they need
Exactly.
when they're in treatment and later, which is amazing.
And we chose not to go ahead and create our own products, even though we know really what are good things for each stage and then through survivorship, because they're fantastic products that do exist. We have a one-stop kind of shopping solution. We've done the vetting. We've gone through all of that. And they're also, as we said, survivor companies. So we're really supporting our community. And that's, I agree. It's, you just have to be able to have the support and not have to go searching all over for it. And take some ownership of that because it's there and there are people who can help you.
Yeah, you know, I got a text message this morning from a woman whose podcast I was on, and
Mm-hmm.
she knows someone who was a surgeon who listened to the podcast, and that surgeon started asking her patients, "Hey, are you cold?" And the
Yes.
patients were like, "How did you know?" And so this woman was
Wow.
like, she texted me this morning to say, "Hey, this is happening, and now the surgeon is recommending your product to people," and that women were so surprised that the surgeon brought it up. And I
Yes.
think that there are so many things that we experience, like coldness being one of many, that
Absolutely.
your doctor may or may not know, maybe never asks about. And if they don't ask you, you might not feel permission to say, "Hey, I need
Yes.
help with this thing."
Yes.
It's like really delicate emotional dance to get all of those needs
Yes.
met.
And that's why we're sort of working with, part of our goal is to collaborate with hospitals so they don't have to come searching for all of this. We bring it to them and say, this would really be helpful. And I totally agree about Brilliantly Warm. I don't have an implant now, but I had a crazy implant story. When I was 14, I had a large lump removed from my breast, and my breast never, they weren't able to fill it in with anything. So from 14 to 18, a really critical period of time. And we talk a lot about self-love and body acceptance and positivity because of everything everybody goes through. And when I was 18, I was finally able to get an implant. And I had an implant for over 15, 16 years before I had my breast surgery for cancer. And that's bothered me tremendously. That I, in particular, because I had it only in one side, my breast was always cold on that side. And yeah, when I saw what you were doing, I was like, this is great.
When we first started sharing online, especially that we were looking for women to test early versions of the product, there were women who had implants for cosmetic reasons, who reached out and said, oh my God, can I try it? And since the product is launched, we have users who are women who have implants, who have no relationship to cancer whatsoever, and people who are just cold, because I mean, all of us know it's like feeling warm here. It's like why you wear a vest. It's why you want to hug. Like that warm feeling in your core, like it almost elevates your mood. And when you're cold,
I can see that.
You don't think about like how it slowly over time sort of like makes you uncomfortable. It changes your posture. It makes you a little bit grumpier. There's all these things that happen. So I'm really happy to be solving this one issue for women. But I think the amazing thing about having your whole platform is that so many different needs get met. And I think from my experience of helping my mom, and now of course having friends who've been through this, when you're in the hospital, there's almost always like a really beautiful, well-curated boutique of things, but you might not be in the hospital when you need it. And when you're in the hospital, you might not know you're going to need it. And if you are even like 6 months out of treatment, you might not want to go back to buy it there.
That's a good point.
I think it being available online. So, when you're up at 2 a.m. anxious and thinking about like what's happening in your life, that you can just like buy it then and look at all the other things on a website that's like a vetted, curated marketplace. You can find what you need.
As we say, we take the guesswork and legwork out of it. And that's the goal. And well informed, well prepared. We have fantastic blogs. We have a whole blog community. Then what made us move outside of just breast cancer was, once I got into the breast cancer community, I realized that there were so many underserved other women dealing with different types of cancer. Ostomies, for example. I mean, that's a really big lifestyle, body impacting change. And there was very little lifestyle, how to get dressed after an ostomy, and concerns about like, how do I go out on a date, or how do I tell someone I had cancer?
Right.
So it creates this whole world of problems, or situations for other people. And so that's why with Cancer Be Glammed, breast cancer obviously is a very big part of the women that we want to support, but that's why we say we want to support women with all forms of cancer, so no one feels like they have something that can't be helped or they're alone.
Absolutely. I think that's so critical. And that was the next thing I was going to bring up. So well done. Because I think, it's hard to be part of this community and not hear about other things. And then you're like, oh, how is that? And breast cancer, thank you, Susan G. Komen Foundation, for really, the awareness thing was huge, but now we're all aware. And there are, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We need way more research for stage 4. I could talk about all the things that still need to happen.
Me too. I mean, and that's what I patient advocate for. And that's why, and I think same with you, we have to get into the hospital system to say, I know patient experience is important, and it really is, but to make awareness about the day-to-day issues that make it more challenging for women to live following a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, and I think that goes to any cancer diagnosis. A lot of people know about breast cancer and maybe even know how common it is, and it's hard to ignore that, especially as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s. Like it's impossible to not see it everywhere. But I think, to your point, there are a lot of cancers still that we don't talk about. Not many people share openly about reproductive cancers, or about something that's maybe embarrassing, or that you would be left with an ostomy bag after. So I think it's really amazing and important that
it is important. thank you for that. It's important. And for example, we have a fantastic mother who is a blogger on our site. I, she had a really difficult experience. Not that everybody does, but she's a tongue cancer survivor.
Wow.
And I won't go into the details. And she had major, like 14 surgeries plus. Her name's Elisa Fisher Reeder. And she blogs on our site. She's a contributor on our site. And the advice she gives through her blogs, like how do you raise your children? How do you talk to your children about cancer? Because cancer, since they've been born, has been part of their life.
Right.
And she dated afterwards. She found the love of her life. She got married. And women need that kind of practical lifestyle daily advice. And hopefully on our site, you'll find that. Find something that resonates with you and helps make something in your life a little easier, or gives you advice on what other women are doing in their lives to approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that not feeling alone and hearing other people's stories who've been through it is a massive part of healing. Right before we got on this IG Live, I was reading somebody's post who finally met somebody who they had been in touch with over Instagram for years. They finally met in person for the first time. Yes. And I think we culturally undervalue how impactful it is to have these relationships, whether it's reading someone's blog or following along on their journey on social media. That's how you find your people. If you're in a community.
So well said.
Don't know anyone.
Yes, it's true. It is true. And thankfully there are your people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I have a word of caution with that only is, over all these years we've learned, and I think a lot of people who've gone through multiple cancers, et cetera, multiple experiences, you have to know that your experience is yours, and you cannot compare yourself to other people. You can't get on the internet and say, oh my gosh, that happened. I mean, I remember when I was diagnosed, I didn't want to look at survival rates. I was reading books and I was kind of eyeballing it, and flipping through the pages that I didn't want to know. And so what we always say is, yes, you can get support on the internet, but you have to be really careful that you don't internalize it. Don't assume that that's you. Don't assume that if someone's having, a different treatment, that they're getting the real treatment and you're not. And just to use the internet wisely, but don't take it verbatim and feel like compare everything to you.
Yeah, that's really, really good and important advice. I think using it to find people to talk to who understand your experience and not to compare your experience is a really critical. Yes. And I think that there are probably lots of people who don't want to go on as someone who's newly diagnosed. And
I understand that.
Yeah.
And they're going to find tons of different advice. And really rely on your medical team to give you to handle the medical side of it. And if you're not satisfied with that, then look for another doctor. You've got to advocate for yourself. And that's hard to do when you're in that whole zone of, oh my God, I have cancer. But if there was anything that I would say is that really advocate for yourself and try to feel as comfortable with the person that you end up who's going to treat you and be with you for the long haul.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a really hard thing to do. And another bit of important advice, if you don't click with your team, you're going to go into every experience already anxious. And that it's better to wait a day, a week, a couple weeks up front to find just a team that you feel really good about, that you feel like understands you. And I think that's also,
you ask questions.
Right.
I mean, that was the biggest thing for me. I came in prepared every time. I had my notebook, and now there's great treatment planners and digital apps and things that'll keep everything on track. And he knew that when we were done, he was going to hear my list. But don't be the kind of person, and this used to be me with doctors, that gets in the car and is like, I forgot to ask them about X. So that's, I mean, where you really have to take care of yourself is to, or if you can't do it, ask your caregiver, just if you can. And I know you feel so vulnerable and in such a whirlwind, but if you can, try answer your questions and feel comfortable in what is going on with you, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. A notebook is really helpful for that.
Yeah, it's just, and we also say, like, one of our other tips is to pre-pack your chemo bag. And I used to get so anxious ahead of chemo. And so what I ended up doing, someone suggested it, was I had a tote bag for chemo. It had all my goodies in there, as I call, and my blanket and a pillow and snacks and stuff. And that I kept packed the whole time. And then just added what I needed for that day, like my wallet, my insurance, and I put it away when I was not having chemo those weeks when I was in recovery, and pull it back out. And even something like that, it's those kind of tips that really helps keep your stress down a little bit.
Yeah, and anything you can do for that is important. Well,
And
I
I
would love
want to talk about you, though, before we move on, because I want you to tell people about Brilliantly, because it's so smart. And I mean this. And I love that it's thin. I love that it slips into a bra. I will be one of those people in the winter wearing one, even though,
yeah.
because I love to be warm, and it's freezing in Pittsburgh in the winter. And and I love that it's app controlled. So I really think you need to tell everybody every
Yeah,
time.
And thanks, I usually talk to other people about what they're doing, so it's nice to talk
Yes,
about what
but
we're
it's
doing over here.
important. Yes.
It started because I was trying to solve a problem for myself, and I spent years being cold and being uncomfortable and having muscle pain and nerve spasms and all, like really just never feeling like I could complain about it, never looking for a solution.
Yes.
And it wasn't until a good friend of mine tried to help me make something that I could wear. And I knew right away I didn't want a jacket or a vest, and I totally didn't want to try to make a bra.
Right.
Making a bra is so complicated, and thanks to the ladies out there who are doing that. But I was like, I want to wear a different bra every day, and can I just make something that fits into each bra? And my friend Chris and I, we actually made a thing, and it worked, but it was hooked up to a huge, like a drill battery. So there was no chance that I could wear it on a daily basis, and I needed it. I mean, you talked about the winter, but I think, and maybe you can relate to this, in the summer in air conditioning, that's when I'm the most uncomfortable. Because in the winter, I can wear a big sweater, I can bundle up, but when it's summer and you walk into the grocery store or you're sitting in your office, it's like painfully cold. And I, realized, okay, we weren't going to be able to make something that was safe and easy for me to wear. And it was probably going to be complicated, and that I shouldn't do it unless other people needed it. And that's when I first started talking to women in the community with the summer of 2017. And I can't tell you how many people I just posted, and I would say, hey, who's willing to talk to me about your experience? And hundreds of people were like, I want to talk.
Yes.
And it's like, awesome, let's talk. And I had these amazing conversations.
Yes.
And it was all about the things that you and I just spoke about. How do you talk to your kids? How do you deal with sexual function? What do you tell someone on a date? Like, everything you said was the exact same thing I heard. And I was like, wait a minute. How is this possible that so many people are struggling in this moment? I can't just make this product. I want to try to help. And so I've spent years and meeting people like you and other people who are making products, content, services, whatever it is, and saying, okay, that exists and it's awesome. There's no need for me to do that. I'm just going to share about what you're doing. And over those years, we did a ton of research, safety testing, user testing, and really trying to understand what were the features and functionality someone needed to use this product. And so, to your point, it's very thin. This is
I love that.
We're working really hard on shrinking our smart module, we call it. It's got the battery and the Bluetooth, because I did want it to be controlled by an app. I think if you're someone who needs this, and you're used to sitting like all bundled up with your teacup and your space heater, having a solution that's invisible, where I can just be
agree.
I'm in my office.
That's
so important
You
because so
thought it
much of,
out so well because you're touching on points that are exactly right. Invisible. Nobody wants to stand out or looks it
no,
or
and
look like they have something going on. Yes.
so
Yeah.
much of the experience is public. When you lose your hair, when you're
Totally.
missing work, you know, it's those moments
Totally.
after where you
Yes.
can have something that is
Agree.
discreet
Yes.
to feel
Yes.
better.
Discreet's a beautiful word. Discreet. Exactly. And you can manage it yourself without having other people have to see. I
Yeah,
love
so
it. I think it's great.
yeah, and it's
Thrilled.
been awesome to have people using it and to meet people like you. And now Brilliantly Warm's available on a few different marketplaces, and
Excellent.
we're getting lots of different kinds of users and feedback and iterating on the technology. So I'll be excited for you to try it.
I can't
And
wait.
hear what you think.
I will.
So I was going to ask you if there are other people who are watching this now or
Yeah.
later who have made products or have ideas or want to write a blog post, like what is the best way for people to stay in touch with you?
Well, we're always looking for content, but that's the buzzword content. We're a content rich website, and really what that is blogs and advice. And there's so many. I haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg of people and organizations, and I see some of the people joined on this site. You can email me. It's lisa@cancerbeglammed.com, and tell me if you've got, we have that on our website. We have how to contact us, and we hear from bloggers, we hear from women who have questions, we hear from companies that have products, so reach out to me. And we started this great thing called Cancer Be Glammed for Real, and it's interviews with real women, and we're looking for stories, but real advice. That's the thing. We want women to be able to go in and say, I've really been coping with this, or, I don't know how to dress to go to chemo. And we also have a style guide. We wrote I don't have it with me, but you can look at that we have online, that was created by cancer survivors, kind of the what to expect when you're expecting. It's called Cancer Be Glammed, the guide. And get in touch with us because it's our community. And we want to have people out there in the world sharing.
I love that. And I think it's really important to say, like, hey, if you have actual practical advice and you want to amplify and share that,
Yes.
Because I know there's a lot of people who do. And one of the first things
Amazing people, organizations, and support groups. Yes.
Totally. One of the things when I first started Brilliantly that I heard the most often was about dating and how do you tell someone.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I don't know, but let's find out. And I went on 35 first dates and practiced telling men, like, sometimes over text, sometimes in person, sometimes before a date or after a date. So I could write about it. And those, I didn't tell those men they were part of a social experiment, but it really, it allowed me to say with some authority that I got some really stupid questions, but almost always they were well-intentioned. And almost every single person said, are you okay? Are you healthy? Do you feel good?
Yes.
Really. And these are people who didn't know me. And I know that there were some people who said some really, really stupid stuff. And one guy asked me if I would still be able to nurse if we had children together. And I was like, I don't have breasts.
Totally. There is that. No nipples, but I think maybe they think you nipples. But until, I understand that.
But
what was he thinking about that on a first date?
Oh my God,
that's
I don't know.
Little.
It was really funny. And for me, I put the content out there.
Yes.
People emailed me from that article years after it was published. And there was a woman who was like, you know what? I was reading this while I was getting chemo today, and you made me think that I can do it. And that's all I wanted was to say, you can do it.
Exactly.
Like, it's going to be okay.
Yes. And there are lots of people here to help you. And women are amazing. It's not a dig against anybody else, and the community and the sisterhood is just that part. I like to say that cancer isn't a gift, but the people it brings in your life are. And that's always been true.
I couldn't agree more.
Just like you.
I feel the same way. Well, thank you so much for the time, Lisa.
Pleasure.
I'm going to put, if you don't mind, I'll put your email in the captions since someone was asking for that.
Please.
And really just excited to know you and to stay in touch and to keep talking
more to come. More to come with, so thank you so much for inviting me, and anyone can send me questions about anything, whatever. and have a great day.
You too. Have a good week. Take good care.
Right back at you.
Bye,
Thanks so
Lisa.
much. Bye, everyone. Thank you.